Welcome back to Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Anime review, episode number 3. This one I'm covering episodes 10 to 13, which is that from book 5 from the series. Yep, most of this one is pretty much spent in the dungeon itself. There's barely any outside stuff in this one. Yep, Bell decides to take his party down to floor, well, basically like 13. And he gets down there, and of course, he's basically beaten by him and his group are basically just, let's just say, surrounded by a bunch of monsters, and they have to keep going down. Yeah, they're basically going down to the middle levels. And during this period of time, they actually go down straight down to floor 18, which is basically a safe zone. Yep. But because it was taking so long, longer than usual, basically, Hestia basically started getting worried, and pretty much Khan makes a quest, though everybody pretty much pitches in to basically help them. Yep. There was this one group from the. I don't remember the name of this group. It's the one where they're basically dressed like they're from the feudal era of Japan. Yeah, that's their attires. Yeah, and they pretty much accidentally leave them behind when they're basically getting down to like 413. They're basically surrounded by tons of monsters, like basically rabbits, hellhounds, and they're almost completely overwhelmed. And they basically fight their way down to floor 18. And they get down there, and Bell asks whoever was there basically to help them, and it's Ainz. Yes, Ainz is there. Of course, Hestia has pretty much the group that basically pretty much just went past them, along with, well, herself, Hermes, yeah, Andromeda, and including an elf who works at who's basically a barmaid, who's also a adventurer who is kind of like a blacklisted one, but they would go down anyways, and they able to get down no problem at all. And like they decided to spend, of course, when they reunite with each other, it was like so happy, and they decided to spend a couple of days. And lucky enough that Ions pretty much healed them up, and well, their group basically bandaged them up, and their group basically started falling. Oh, and basically two members of the group start falling over Bell because of, well, because of sort of infatuation with Ainz and the fact that because of his reputation he's building up, and they're basically getting all over him. And I thought this was so hilarious. He's like so embarrassed by this, and apparently, Ainz doesn't mind the fact that he accidentally, I believe it was during this episode's where he accidentally put his face into her chest, and she had no reaction to it at all. She didn't beat him up for it, because most basically girls in anime basically not like that very much. She has no problem at all because even she knows what it was an accident, and it just basically been fun. So they decided to spend some time. They go to an adventure city, which pretty much is like almost like a bit of like a startup one, and they sell stuff pretty dirt cheap. Also, Lily loses her big backpack. Yep, she loses it during this period of time. So, yeah, and I thought this was so hilarious. This is basically the scene I was looking forward to seeing. Basically, Hermes wants to talk to the girls let's think, let's go take a bath at a nearby spring. And Hermes brings him along to peep on them. And he falls off the tree, and he actually sees his goddess naked. Sees Lily, some members of Loki familiar, including Ainz. And of course, look at Ainz basically covers herself, and it's like apparently she wanted him to see her naked. It's like she doesn't have a problem with it at all, and he just runs away. And then he sees the elf. Actually sees her naked. He apologizes for it. He says, "Oh, I realize what happened. Don't worry." Yep, this is all Hermes' fault. And here's the thing: Finn, a member of Loki from Lily, basically, I wanted to see Ainz naked, and you got peep on her. Yeah, and like, don't worry, Hermes is being punished for it because what he did was by complete accident. Yeah, they forgive him. Finn doesn't believe because apparently I think he has got a thing for Ainz as well, but Ainz doesn't care about him. Yep. And Ainz apparently doesn't have a major reaction. She doesn't chastise him for peeping on her. Apparently, she didn't mind it at all. Nope, she had no problem with it. And like they go off on their floor to basically leave to get and then of course then we have something strange happened. Like everyone's like about to leave, and all of a sudden Hestia gets kidnapped. Yes, Hestia gets kidnapped by a group of adventurers who Bell had accounted for on the surface, and he just happened to run into them here. And these are adventurers who are very greedy and very like much like thugs. Yep. So yeah, and the guy pretty much uses what Hermes describes as Hades' cloak, basically a cloak invisibility, to kidnap Hestia, tie her up, and have a couple of its guys keep an eye on her. And of course, he challenges Bell to a fight. Says if he wins, like the guy who challenges Bell, if he wins, he gets all the supplies. If Bell wins, they free the goddess. And he turned invisibility. Basically, the guy is one dirty cheater. Eventually, he's, kind of beaten until, reinforcements come. And, hey, we know something really odd. So everyone's, basically beat him up. And all of a sudden, then the floor starts shaking. Yeah, they describe it as an evil quake. And then Goliath, the guy they have to get past on floor 17, he comes here, and he breaks through, and he starts a rampage. And despite the fact that the elf, basically, Rio, she's questioning his leadership ability, but he basically makes a good call. Chelsea, protect the goddess, everyone else come with me. Because why not? Because he does deeply care for her, and because he's the head. This is basically he's the head. She's the head of the Familia. And Hermes does nothing but watch all this. He does not interact. He does not do any fighting at all. Also, the only reason why the fight is stopped between Bell and the other guy, because Hestia unleashes her goddess wrath on him. Yeah, she gets really angry. Yeah, she just lets out her hair, and Amber just stand aside, children. He just walks up, and the guy runs away like a big sissy. It was not long after that's when Goliath showed up. Yep. And throughout the last couple episodes, pretty much the last episode, they spent the whole episode fighting Goliath and the other monsters. And Bell basically gets wounded while taking him on, though lucky enough he's able to summon the courage to use a particular weapon made by Hephaestus. And of course, Will gets used one of his family's swords, though it basically breaks. And Bell pretty much defeats the monster after after building up his iron blast strength. That's basically this blue sparkle stuff that he got. He says fire, but this is the iron bolt. And this pretty much eviscerates most of his body. Show off his stone, so he basically jumps up, and he basically uses the knife that Hestia gave him to stab at the rest of the thing and basically get the stone. And he's proclaimed a hero by everybody. And of course, they have some flashback stuff here when he was unconscious. And of course, Hestia and Lily basically are near him. Because why not? Because Lily, Bell attracts him too. Yeah, first, here's the thing. These are the women basically are in love with Bell. And these are Hestia, Lily, the barmaid, and I think that's it. Just these 4 women are in love with him. Despite the fact he has something for Ainz. Ainz has got 2 people in love with her, basically Bell, though she doesn't know about it. Finn, she kind of knows. I think Loki's in love with her too. Yeah, and after he defeats the Goliath, I don't know. It's unknown if he gets a level up for defeating him, but he's basically, and that's where they celebrate the pub, and of course they had this funny little scene of Ainz next to Bell, and of course everybody's drinking. Of course Loki's known for drinking. She's a heavy alcoholic, and she pulls Ainz and Bell. She pulls Ainz away from Bell. Of course, Bell's being pulled by Lily and Hestia. And it's a great scene. And yeah, it looks like it's a very similar ending to season 1 for Goblin Slayer. Yep. And of course, Hermes proclaims the start of the era of the Familia myth. A brand new story. I gotta say, for the last few episodes, these are actually pretty good. Yeah. The peeping scene I was actually looking forward to because I read about it in the manga and I read about it in the light novels. Now, I think this is also going to happen in the spin-off one as well because they're probably going to show it in that series. I wouldn't be surprised about that. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to watching that series after I finish watching this one. Yeah, but not much else to say about these episodes. Pretty good. So yeah, that's a particular review. In case you're wondering, there's any other views today besides this video review series continuing this? No. I got no other ones I could think of. There's no comic coin. I don't have any trades ready to go for that. I haven't done an hour review in a long time, so just basically stay tuned for the next episode for this series, where I talk about the series' first ever OVA, which I believe has been dubbed. Okay? See you in the next video. Bye.